I don't know why I agreed to record this. I guess I'm tired of holding it in. They keep asking me when I snapped, like it was one moment, like I woke up crazy one day. That's not how it happened. I snapped slowly, quietly, over years. I was married for 11 years. 11. People hear that and think stability, commitment, love. What it really was erasure. He didn't hit me. Let me say that first, because everyone always asks. No bruises? No broken bones? Just constant correction. The way I talked was wrong. The way I laughed was embarrassing. The way I dressed was asking for attention. The way I breathed, I swear, annoyed him. If I cried, I was dramatic. If I stayed quiet, I was cold. If I defended myself, I was disrespectful. And the cheating, God, he never stopped. He just got better at explaining why it was my fault. Maybe if you were softer. Maybe if you didn't nag. Maybe if you took better care of yourself. I worked full-time. I cooked. I cleaned. I raised our daughter. And still, I was never enough to be faithful to. But I stayed. Because leaving is expensive. Because daycare costs money. Because starting over is terrifying. Because everyone says, be strong for your family. So I swallowed it. I swallowed the texts I found. I swallowed the hotel receipts. I swallowed the nights he came home late and smelled like perfume that wasn't mine. And then, there was her. She was younger. Of course she was. Worked with him, laughed too loud, touched his arm when she spoke. She knew he was married. She knew I existed. And she still sent me messages. At first they were subtle. Girl to girl, you deserve better. Just thought you should know. Then they got cruel. Screenshots, details, things no wife should ever have to imagine. She told me what he liked, what he said about me, what he laughed about. She said, he says you're basically just his roommate now. That night I cooked dinner like normal, helped my daughter with homework, kissed her forehead, and when my husband fell asleep, I sat in the bathroom and stared at myself in the mirror for almost an hour. I didn't recognize her. I remember thinking, if I disappear, nobody will even notice who I was. That's when something shifted. Not rage, not screaming, clarity. I stopped crying after that. Stopped arguing. Stopped begging. I started planning. I learned his schedule better than he thought I ever did. I memorized her routines too. It wasn't hard. People are careless when they think you're weak. The night it happened, he told me he was working late. I already knew. I drove to her apartment, sat in my car for 20 minutes. My hands weren't shaking. That's the part that scares me now. I went upstairs. Knocked. She smiled when she opened the door. Actually smiled. She said, "Oh, you must be his wife." I don't remember everything after that. I remember her tone, condescending, calm, like she'd already won. I remember saying her name out loud, slowly, and I remember the moment she realized this wasn't a conversation. I didn't scream. She didn't either, not at first. I didn't bring a weapon. I used what was already there. Something heavy, decorative. I remember the sound more than anything, not a scream, the thud. When it was over, I sat on her couch and waited. I wiped my hands, straightened a pillow. I left before he got there. He found her, collapsed, broken, and he screamed like I used to. They say I ruined lives, but no one talks about the way mine was dismantled inch by inch, the way I was taught to shrink, the way silence was demanded from me. I didn't snap because I'm evil. I snapped because I was erased, and something had to prove I still existed. I don't regret it. I regret waiting so long. I drove home like it was any other night, stopped at a red light, checked my mirrors, adjusted my seat. I remember thinking how quiet the car felt. When I got home, I washed my hands for a long time. Not because they were dirty, but because I needed something normal to do. I climbed into bed next to my daughter, listened to her breathe. I slept. The phone started ringing around 3:40 a.m. I didn't answer at first. I already knew. When I did pick up, he was screaming, crying, asking me if I knew what happened. I told him no. I told him I'd been asleep. He came home an hour later, eyes red, hands shaking. He collapsed on the floor and said her name over and over like a prayer. I held him. I rubbed his back. I told him it would be okay. That was the moment I finally felt powerful. The police came the next morning. They asked questions. I answered calmly. Too calmly, they said later. I had no blood on me, no weapon, no witnesses. She lived alone, no cameras, no forced entry. They told me it looked like a crime of passion. They never said my name with suspicion, only sympathy. At the funeral, he couldn't stop crying. People hugged him. They called him a victim. No one even looked at me. Weeks passed, then months. Our marriage didn't survive it. Grief turned him cruel. He drank. He blamed himself. He never blamed me. That part still amazes me. We divorced quietly. I moved, started over, raised my daughter alone. Sometimes, late at night, I hear the sound again, the thuds. Not in guilt, in memory. And I wonder how many women are walking around right now with stories like mine still trapped inside them. I don't think monsters look like monsters. I think they look like women who were pushed too far and finally stopped asking to be loved. If you're listening to this trying to decide whether I'm sorry, I am. Just not for what you think.